So we're all familiar with the term AAU, but is AAU good for you? That's what we're going to discuss today. Hello and welcome. Today, it is my duty to define and clearly delineate what AAU is and what AAU is not. We're also going to talk about what AAU can and what AAU cannot do for you. Lastly, if you stay to the end, I'm going to discuss your specific situation and tell you whether or not AAU is specifically good for you. So with that being said, let's define AAU. AAU is specifically defined as the Amateur Athletic Union. Yes, this is where it all started and is still around today. However, AAU stands for so much more. It's the moniker that basketballers worldwide use when it comes to extracurricular basketball, meaning beyond the school system or beyond the recreational system. But AAU is really a lot of things. On the one hand, you have uber highly competitive programs that are paid by the shoe companies. I'm talking about Nike, Adidas, Under Armour. I'm talking about Steph Curry, LeBron James, Blake Griffin, all these NBA stars who have teams in order to try to get future NBA players pushed towards a certain shoe brand as early as high school. Now, that level is very, very slim. Very few AAU athletes ever get to that level. On the other end of the spectrum, AAU can also be defined as a bunch of friends who are getting together to play on the weekends in local tournaments. Now, what you have in between is far and wide ranging. You have a lot of good programs that travel nationally and play in highly competitive tournaments. Then you have the middle of AAU, which is comprised of most teams which are moderately competitive. And through this entire gamut, you have all types of teams, including the good ones and the bad ones, which are highly organized and those that are a complete waste of time. So because of all this, how do I define AAU? Simply as an additional opportunity to play. Let that sink in, because that's all AAU really is. Parents everywhere are keeping up with the Joneses because they want to get on a certain AAU team or be involved with a certain AAU organization. And for 99% of athletes, that doesn't matter. Think about this. AAU, no matter if it's the high-level shoe programs or a bunch of friends hooping on the weekends, it's all run by volunteer coaches and program directors. Now let this thought sink in, because the term volunteer doesn't connote having a high pedigree. Sure, there are lots of AAU folks involved in these programs who do have great resumes, no doubt, but this is not what they do full time. If they truly wanted to be a coach or a director, they would do that full time. And maybe they don't want to, it's no knock on them. I'm telling you as a parent to not put too much stock into anybody that's doing this on the weekends. My first foray into AAU came during my 8th grade year. There was a local team that was one of the best teams in the entire nation, and they invited little old me to come try out. Well, it didn't take me long to recognize that I probably wasn't up to snuff, and it was no surprise when I didn't make the team. A lot of these athletes went on to have great high school, college, and some even pro careers. That same summer, this team won the AAU National Championship. So this team was the real deal. However, I also went on to have a great high school, college, and pro career, which surpassed the majority of athletes on that team. So what am I saying? There was nothing wrong with the team, but there certainly wasn't anything wrong with me. Too many parents are in identity crisis, trying to find the right fit, the right mix of AAU. And that brings me to my next point, what AAU is not. First, you need to know that AAU is not a place to enhance your skills. Never go to an AAU team looking to grow as a player, because that's not what AAU is for. AAU is only an additional opportunity to play. And yes, when you play, you do grow as a player in a lot of ways simply by learning from others. However, no one ever said, I became a better shooter once I joined this AAU team. I became a better ball handler or better defender once I joined this AAU team. Those things are going to be based upon your skill training, and that's where your focus always needs to be. Next, you need to know AAU is not a ticket to college. This is because unless you're already recruitable, AAU is not going to help you to become recruitable. After that situation as an 8th grader, I didn't play AAU again until the summer after my junior year in high school. In between that time, as a freshman, sophomore, and junior, I had grown my average to over 24 points a game on my high school team. Because of this, I had become recruitable, garnered lots of interest from colleges, and I had anywhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 offers. The summer after my junior year, I got the opportunity to play for one of the best AAU teams in the region. And you know what? I was ready for the opportunity, but even more importantly, the opportunity was ready and right for me. Because of this alignment, I ended up having a tremendous summer and nearly double my college offers. But listen to what I said. I was recruitable before AAU enhanced my recruitment. If you're not recruitable, which 99% of kids aren't, especially 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th graders who aren't even in the mix in their high school programs, AAU is not doing anything for you. And you know what? AAU is also not your ticket to anything, because what some parents will do is play leapfrog to get from one AAU team to another school, to another coach, to another opportunity. AAU is just an opportunity to play. Use it as such. And don't get caught up in the backbiting and the politics, because AAU will never define your athlete. So now that I've bagged enough on AAU, let's talk about what AAU actually can do for you. AAU can absolutely increase your athlete's experience level. Let's face it, the high school season lasts from December to February. You want a ball in your kids' hands the remainder of the year. Now, I will say this, AAU is not the only way to do that. I, for one, use camps as my major recruitment source, like I said, up until my junior year. If you want to know more about camps, I'd like to make a video about it. Just leave a comment, tell me more if that's something you'd like to hear more about. But whether it's camps, pickup, small-sided games like one-on-one, two-on-two, playing with athletes of all different ages, whether they be younger or older, all of these are great opportunities to gain additional experience. They're less costly, less stringent, and less strict. They promote creativity and fun that your athlete is going to enjoy. So in addition to experience level, AAU can also increase your child's motivation, because that's what it did for me. When I didn't make the team, this motivated me to be better. This motivated me to improve. And AAU can do that because it allows your athlete to get out of their bubble, to get out of their school, to get out of their neighborhood, sometimes even get out of their state or area of the country, and they get to see things. When they see things, they often gain inspiration that motivates them to push themselves to a new level. Another great thing about AAU is that it can improve aggression, because most often AAU teams are made up of the best players. In order to stand out, athletes have to become aggressive. As they see players from other regions and from all across the country, that's going to allow them to recognize that there are different levels to aggressiveness. So as long as your athlete isn't being made anxious by AAU, they're probably increasing their aggression. Now, lastly, I want to talk about when AAU is right for you. And I got a simple test for you, a simple formula, if you will, to know when AAU is right for you and your athlete. And what you're going to do is multiply engagement by experience. And you're going to take that output and match it to a team that has a similar output. Now, what do I mean by that? Engagement is literally your athlete's enthusiasm to play AAU. Sit down, talk to them. Are they wanting additional opportunities to play? And what levels do you hear them mentioning? Are they wanting to try out for the best teams, or are they wanting to play with their friends and simply have fun? Once you get a feel for where they want to be, you want to push them a little bit beyond that and see how it fits. Maybe take them to a tryout or a practice of a team that's a little beyond their reach. See if the engagement increases, stays the same, or even decreases. And based on that result, you're going to know where your athlete needs to be. Now, once you've figured out the engagement, where their enthusiasm is a fit, you then want to match the experience. Because if your athlete has multiple years of playing basketball, you're not going to want to match them with a team that has a very low experience level, because that's not going to push them. Even though their engagement may be in place, the lack of experience of the other athletes can actually stifle their growth as a player. But then on the other hand, if the engagement is there, but your athlete has a lot less experience than the other athletes on the team, well, they're probably not going to get as many opportunities. Even if they're getting the minutes, maybe they're not getting the autonomy and the ability to play free on the court. Most often, this isn't going to be a great fit as well, with the exception being that if your child has a superior skill set, whether it be height, explosiveness, speed, a great shooter or ball handler, something that just jumps off the page that allows them to skip steps. But for most athletes, this isn't the case. You want to match engagement with experience, and that's how you know when AAU is right for you. So I hope this helps to avoid the runaround and the angst involved in AAU. And do me a favor, before we ever get to AAU, school ball is the biggest determining factor in whether or not your athlete will become recruitable. Check out our series on selecting schools for serious student athletes to align your grind with the right environment. Thanks for watching.